So why are emails so important to you as a business professional? Well, according to the Radicati Group 2013 report on email communication statistics, the predominant form of communication within the business world was in fact email, making up approximately 23% of all email accounts worldwide. This totals over 1 billion business email accounts. Business emails are estimated to be responsible for nearly 60% of all email traffic sent and received each day, totaling about 116 billion emails. Therefore, the ability to communicate using emails has become a mandatory skill of all professionals across all industries. A little bit about myself. I'm currently a senior associate employed with Macquarie Bank for over 2 years. I work within the service, sales and operations division within a predominantly administrative and operations-based team. I'm the subject matter expert for various roles in the department, and as such, I'm responsible for transitioning and onboarding of new systems and projects within the team. I often have to communicate with many other teams and managements in order to verify the flow-on effects and changes within the business. Importance of effective communication. Effective communication can serve a number of purposes within a professional environment, such as persuading your audience, defending your actions or image, portraying competence, instructing others, coordinating projects, and even managing crises. A quick overview of this presentation: persuasion in communication, and understanding your audience, and tone in communication. First of all, persuasion. Often as professionals, we are faced with situations in which we desire to influence or change another person's opinion about a particular subject or possible action. In order to achieve this outcome, often we will present arguments through written communication, in most cases email. Inch and Warnick defined an argument as a set of statements in which a claim is made, support is offered for it, and there is an attempt to influence someone in the context of disagreement. To summarize, in order to make an argument, we must first make a claim, secondly, support the claim with evidence, and lastly, link the evidence to the claim through reasoning. So the claim. In order to better highlight how the model may work in a realistic professional scenario, I've created a scenario for us to follow. In the scenario, our team performs a certain function of the business in our day-to-day operations. This function provides support for another operations team to complete client requests. For security purposes, only limited information is able to be passed on to our team, occasionally resulting in ill-informed decisions and negative client experiences due to delays and rework. With recent updates to the software and systems used by our teams, it now becomes possible for the other team to complete the request from start to finish. Our team is to communicate the benefits to the other team management in a way that would have them agree to align the process and absorb the function from start to end. In our example, the claim that we will be making to the management team will be that I am seeking to align a process in order to improve efficiency and end experiences. Here, we have highlighted immediately to the team's management the purpose of our communication and what we intend to achieve by this. Next, we will need to introduce evidence as to why we are making this claim. In this scenario we have used, we could call upon examples of where current process has fallen over, which highlights the need for a change. In addition, we can point out the fact that traditionally this may not have been possible due to system restrictions, but as new technology is in place, we ought to review this possibility. Finally, we must link the evidence we have presented to the claim we have made through reasoning. Again, calling upon the scenario we are presenting, we could call upon certain reasons, such as new technology meant it is now reasonable to expect that only one team be required to access the process from start to finish. Alignment of this process would allow for faster action, which allows for a reduction in resources to complete requests, highlight higher client satisfaction as speedier requests are completed, and in addition, as information would not be required to be passed through teams, there will be a reduced likelihood of errors in counting, resulting in less resources required for rework, and less chance in client requests being delayed for internal errors. By following Inch and Warnick's model, we have successfully communicated a claim or request, supported it with evidence, and explained clearly how the evidence links to the claim. Unfortunately, even the most well-reasoned and logically structured communication can be lost if we are not aware of cultural or background differences that could affect the way we communicate. To learn how cultural and background affects our communication in emails, we will analyze Hofstede's Dimensions of Culture model within a professional environment. Hofstede's model mentions 5 dimensions that affect the way we communicate. They are power distance, uncertainty avoidance, individual versus collectivism, masculinity versus femininity, long-term versus short-term. Firstly, power distance refers to the view on society has on power inequalities. Typically, two arguments arise from this. The first is that power inequality is unfair and should be reduced where possible. Examples of this can often be seen in Western cultured workplaces. For example, a manager who asks their subordinates to refer to them by their first name. The second, society views that power inequality is necessary and helps the society function. It allows the people to know where they stand and also where the person they are referring to stands. An example of this could be in some Asian cultures where the student must bow and greet to the teachers at the end of each class. In this example, the students are recognizing and paying respect to the power gap that exists between themselves and the teacher. Uncertainty avoidance refers to the extent to which a society embraces or rejects ambiguous or unclear situations. According to Hofstede's research, uncertainty avoiding societies see uncertainty as a threat, which must be fought to be avoided. This is because uncertainty avoiding societies sees things that are different as dangerous. As such, the societies believe strongly in the existence of rules, even where it may be irrational or impractical. In contrast to uncertainty accepting societies that see uncertainty as normal, uncertainty accepting societies do not always believe in such strict adherence to rules and regulations, especially if these are not rational or practiced. In individualism versus collectivism refers to a society view on improving oneself or the importance of improving the group. Individualist societies are societies with loose ties between individuals. Each person is expected to look after their own interest and their immediate family. Within a business context, the task will come first, followed by the relationship of the parties. Collectivist societies exist whereby people, even from birth, exist within groups such as family, extended family, villages or tribes, and will hold the interests of these groups in mind. In a business context, the relationship between parties will often precede the task at hand. Masculinity versus femininity discusses societies on what is acceptable behavior or traits for each person. Within a professional context, masculine behavior is based on material success and is results driven. For example, which decision will result in the best outcome for the business, in comparison to feminine, where decisions and behaviors are based on the quality of life. For example, which outcome will result in success, keeping in mind the employee's happiness and well-being. Finally, we come to the long-term versus short-term dimension. These views are a little more complex than previous dimensions discussed. The long-term orientated society supports change adaptation, persistence, and looks to the future. In business, an example of long-term orientation is when a business would say that what is wrong and right can change depending on the situation in the future. In contrast, the short-term orientated societies hold values in the past and present. They typically hold factors such as face to be quite valuable. Within the business example, short-term orientation often sees wrong as right, as absolute, and not changing regardless of the situation. Finally, we're coming to tone of communications. After we have correctly identified our logical, rational argument in reference to any cultural or background beliefs that exist, we must finally adjust the tone of our communications we are sending. This is particularly important when communication is solely based on text, as there is a lot more room for interpretation in this situation. If our tone comes across as aggressive or offensive, then often the message will be rejected and the counterparty will become defensive. This can also unknowingly damage reputation. Alternatively, if our communication is considered too passive, we can be viewed as weak or uncertain when we are trying to communicate. This can lead to people doubting the sincerity or credibility of what we are communicating. This also results often in people's attempt to take advantage of the weakness to instead put forth their own agenda. As such, in this segment, we will analyze how to communicate in an assertive manner. Alder and Elmhorst have outlined 5 elements to create an assertive message. They are as follows. 1. The description of behavior, an interpretation of the behavior, a disclosure of your feelings, an expression of the tangible effect, and a statement of intentions. So first, we need to describe the behavior in specific and factual terms. In our earlier scenario regarding the changing of process, this would mean that we would need to specify we are seeking for the other team to adopt the process that our team is currently performing. Secondly, our interpretation of the behavior used in the scenario could mention our understanding for the reason behind the process's existence. For example, using wording that highlights that we understand why the process is in place and what purpose it serves for the business. Thirdly, we must outline how the current behavior makes us feel. In this context of our scenario, this could mean that we could highlight our concern regarding the current procedure and the impacts that have been occurring that resulted in this. Next, we need to provide tangible examples of how the current procedure is impacting us. To achieve this, we could rely on statistics as wasted resources spent completing rework, delays that have resulted in negative client experiences, which have negatively affected business. Finally, our statement of intentions to the other team. This is the section where we need to highlight where we stand on the issue, the requests we are trying to make of the other team, and how we plan to operate in the future. For example, that we believe the process could be better aligned to the other team's operations, and we are asking the other team to take control of this process, and that we will no longer take ownership of this process. In summary, this presentation has highlighted how to send email communications within a professional environment. There are 3 messages to take away from this when communicating via email. Firstly, construct your argument in a logical fashion, creating a clear statement of what it is you are trying to communicate. Produce evidence to support your claim, and then show through reason how this evidence links to your claim. When communicating with other persons via email, keep in mind any cultural norms or background experiences the person may have. Understand what this means and how your message may be interpreted as a result. Try to tailor your communications to keep this in mind. Finally, construct the tone of your communication in an assertive manner, a way that avoids any aggression or offense towards the receiving party, however also does not make you appear weak or unconfident. Display your intentions, your feelings and reasons, and communicate what you plan to do as a result of the actions you are taking. Email communication in the professional industry is almost unavoidable in today's society. It is imperative that you understand and practice the principles and messages relayed for you today in your email communication in the workplace. Thank you very much.